So hello, good morning. It's a very, very slow start to this Thursday. Have you ever had those nights where you just can't fall asleep and then you fall asleep and then you wake up and you're like, oh, it's been 12 hours. I feel so rested and it's only been like 3 and then you can't go back to sleep afterwards? That happened all last night. I started the day off a lot later than I wanted to. I have some things that I want to do today, but it's supposed to rain all in the afternoon. So what I think I'm going to do, well, not think, what I am going to do is go run all of those errands. I have a book that I have to pick up from the library. I need to return some things, go grocery shopping. I think there's one other thing that I had to do too, but I can't quite remember. Oh, check my mailbox. Then I'm gonna come home and work on everything that I also want to work on today, which would be a little bit of writing. I also am going to be meeting with Kayla tonight. We've been doing every Thursday at 7 p.m. We've been talking about our writing together. She's been talking about her projects and I'm talking about my projects. I know I'm gonna be doing that later tonight with her, but since it's getting close to the end of Nano and I am behind my goals for the month, I want to do a writing session before I meet up with her tonight. And then when we do meet up tonight, I can do a little bit more writing. I would like to do like 30 minutes to an hour. We'll see how that goes. I think that's it. Since I'm behind on my day, I might as well just be a little more behind, right? So I am gonna go to Starbucks and get breakfast because I have a gift card for $25. Don't plan on spending the whole $25, but I'm gonna go to Starbucks, get myself a little latte and a little breakfast, and that's what I have going on. So I am right on schedule. It's 1 o'clock and I wanted to have all of the groceries and all of the out and about stuff done, which it is. So I'm very excited. Now I am on my way home. I have finished. I got back from doing all the 8 million things that I had to do today, and now I need to eat lunch. I think I'm just gonna make some Chef Boyardee raviolis. I am going to read one of my books. I am gonna read or continue reading Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. I have this on audio as well, so I'm following along, you know, like we did in elementary school. This book, if you have not read it yet, it is a hoot. It's so funny, it's so cute, and that'll only be for like 45 minutes because it'll be about 2:30 by that time. I can spend an hour writing, an hour editing, and then I can go to the gym for an hour. And I found this recipe that I want to try. I've never tried making broccoli salad before, but it sounded so freaking good. So I got all the ingredients for it, and my partner is super excited too. When I get back from the gym, I want to try to make that later tonight. And then I have my live stream with Kayla at 7. It sounds like a great game plan. We'll see what happens. I think that all sounds great. Now we just need to execute said plan. Lunch has been consumed. I read a couple of chapters of Little Thieves. Honestly, I could have kept reading more, but at the end of the second chapter, it was right at 2:30 and it's 2:30, or it's 2:29 technically, and it's 2:33 now. Like I promised, we are going to jump into writing for the next hour. So I want to do a little bit of writing of Project Ice. I don't have any word count goals during this whole hour time frame. I just want to gather my thoughts, start working on the next chapter. I believe I'm on chapter 6. I just want to see how far I can get in this hour. Take my time, pull up my playlist to listen to my music playlist. I can pull up my document really fast, but I think we're on chapter 6. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump on, I'm on chapter 5, which I think I'm almost finished with chapter 5. So we'll finish chapter 5 and start working towards chapter 6. So it's an hour later and I was vibing with the story. I finished chapter 5 during my last writing session, so I was on chapter 6, but I backpedaled a little bit just to see where chapter 5 was ending and where I wanted chapter 6 to go. I'm still following my plot grid. In chapter 6, in that 1 hour, I ended up writing 1,090 words, which I'm very pleased with. I loved this chapter. I feel like I say that after every single chapter, but after I introduced my secondary character, which I absolutely love her. She honestly, like, if I could be any character, I would want to be her because I really love her character. I know it's all very messy right now. I'm telling myself a lot of this story versus showing it and letting it happen. I hope by the time I get beta readers and the time that the story will be published, whenever that happens, whenever it's time for that, I really want to make sure I do this character justice because she is by far probably one of my most favorite characters that I've ever written. So I am on chapter 6 using my plot grid. I want to add that in one of my plotting videos, I can't remember which one exactly, where I was going through the plot grid and I was making it and I was coming up with subplots and keeping that main plot consistent. I had come up with 6 subplots that I wanted to weave throughout the story. There's one subplot that doesn't feel like it fits now that I'm writing the story, that I might end up taking out that subplot. Like, I haven't even touched on it yet. It was something I wanted to talk about. Well, I wanted to kind of address it in passing in chapter 1. I wanted to talk about it a little bit in chapter 3 and then revisit it in chapter 5. Now that I am sitting down and writing the story and building the story, you know, drafting it, that subplot doesn't feel like it fits in the story. I haven't written anything for that one subplot because it just doesn't feel like it fits. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to waste time and write it. I'm holding off for now on that one subplot. I have spent a lot of these first 5.5 chapters building up this main plot. I have a romance and I have a mentor-apprentice relationship that's about to start happening as well. And I feel like so far those 3 storylines are coming together quite nicely. I'm also explaining the magic system for this story. In this chapter, I explained a lot and it seems info dumpy, but again, first draft, whatever, it's fine. I feel like there was a lot of information in these 1090 words that I wrote. 6 chapters in, we had a good idea of magic in the world, while I feel like everybody was just introduced in chapter 6 minus 2 or maybe 3 other characters. Well, okay, it's actually really 3. There was another character I wanted to introduce in the first or the second chapter. I think it was in the first, but I screwed that up. I'm just gonna throw that character in the next chapter. But then after that, I have 2 more characters that are going to be introduced in a couple more chapters. I think this is a good stopping point. Where I'm at right now in the story, my main character and one of my secondary characters are having a conversation, and I'm not quite sure where I want this conversation to go. So I feel like this is a good stopping point so I can kind of sit, think about it, and I'm going to be writing a little bit later tonight too with Kayla. It'll give me something to be kind of marinating in and thinking about. So good morning. I ended up not meeting with Kayla. We had to cancel. Instead, I made the broccoli salad and it was so good. I'll leave that recipe that I used linked down below if you're curious. I'll throw up some pictures to show you guys what it looked like. And I don't like regular bacon, so I just bought a pack of turkey bacon and just cooked it up and then chopped it up. After we had supper, I ended up watching TV. There's an old TV show that my partner and I used to watch all the time. It's a really good one. It's on Amazon Prime and it's called Chuck. It has Zachary Levi in it. He is the actor who plays Flynn Rider in Tangled, and he's also the actor who plays in Shazam. He is so funny. This is like way before either of those 2 movies came out. So he's a lot younger in this show and it's just so funny. So if you haven't seen it, highly recommend it. That was what I ended up doing last night, and I would like to finish editing that video from yesterday, and I need to make the thumbnail for that video. I have finally finished editing that video. It's rendered and I'm uploading it now to YouTube. Right now, I have read 2 chapters of Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. It is so funny. I'm almost halfway through it, but there's just like one-liners in here that just really crack me up. Overall, it is a great story, so I recommend this, and hopefully I can finish it in the next couple of days because I've been reading it for way too long. I want to continue reading this book because it's so good. It's so addicting. I would also like to obviously get back to writing and see how close I can get to my Camp Nano goals. I'm a little above 6,000 words for Camp Nano. I had a low goal of 10,000 words and a high goal of 15,000 words, and I would like to hit that low goal. But I would have today and tomorrow and Sunday morning to work on trying to hit that goal. I can totally do that. So why don't I? Because I have a book that I'm insanely addicted to right now, that's why. A couple more chapters of reading and a nap later, here we are. I did not plan on taking a nap, but apparently I needed it, so we just let it happen. I'm gonna eat lunch as I work on chapter 6. Hopefully I finish chapter 6 in this sitting. We're gonna check in an hour and see what happens. Okay, yay! I finished chapter 6. I ended up writing 1,330 something words, but I wrote for about 40 minutes and I wrote until I finished that chapter. I'm feeling really good about those words that I wrote, finishing chapter 6. I think I have a couple more chapters left until I'm officially into Act 2. There's one more, I think, big plot point that I need to hit before we start getting into Act 2. For NaNoWriMo, I have 7,810 words, I think, for the entire month so far, and I'm very pleased with that. I would like to do another hour of writing tonight. I didn't see how many words I was at for the total manuscript yet. Making some progress. In this chapter, I touched a little bit more on the magic system. I think I've talked about this in a previous vlog, or maybe a couple of previous vlogs. I can't quite remember. I have not overly plotted out this magic system, mainly because I wanted to discover it. So today I dabbled a little bit more into creating the magic system and developing it and the different tiers, and I have plotted out the different tiers. I feel like I may have added another tier and I don't know if it's going to stay, and the reason I had changed it, I'll be totally honest, is because I messed up with one of the characters. One of the characters, I wanted them to have a familiar, but for some weird reason, I ended up writing this character as being a shapeshifter. So I modified it just a little bit. I don't know how it's going to turn out. Don't know if I exactly like that. With me discovering the magic system a little bit more and creating that other tier that may or may not stay, it helped keep the story on track with the plot grid that I made and all of the notes that I have for the story when I was outlining it. I feel like I did a decent job with trying to stay and make sure I'm hitting all of those major plot points. At the end of this chapter, my characters visited another character that's a pretty key person in the story. Even though she doesn't have a lot of screen time, a lot of motivation for my main character is reliant on this character. I think that was okay. I definitely think it could have been better. There was a lot of dialogue in this chapter, and dialogue is not my strong suit, but it's fine for now. You know, with it being a first draft, it's okay. So that's where we're sitting currently. Hey, what's up, my writing friends? So I think, why are you so wobbly? Because I'm holding you and I had a margarita. I ended up going on a walk earlier, and then I ended up going out to eat with my partner. Right now, I am going to continue reading Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. Good morning. So I am supposed to be meeting with Brie Bonomo for a couple of hours. Her and I are going to be doing sprints in our Discord group, and I'm really excited about that because today is going to be the last day I get to work on anything related to Camp Nano. Well, no, that's not entirely true. I could technically work on it later tonight, which would be tomorrow, Sunday, like in the early morning hours, but I can't make myself promises that I would be able to do that. So my low goal for Camp Nano was 10,000 words, and currently I'm sitting at 7,811 words. So today, if I wanted to hit my low Camp Nano goal, I would have to write 2,189 words. And honestly, it could happen. That would be maybe like 2 to 3 hours of writing today. I don't know if I have that much writing in me to do today, but we could try. Even though I haven't hit my goals, and I do want to talk about this in my NaNoWriMo wrap-up video, I don't feel super torn up about if I don't end up reaching my Camp Nano goals. I really don't feel that burnt out or that upset about it. I just know for the first 2 weeks in April, I didn't write at all. I didn't start writing until the 12th or the 13th of April, I believe. So, you know, that was 12 or 13 days into the month that I did 0 writing. So that's something to think about for the next camp, but I'm very excited to get to write with Bree today. I met with her last Wednesday and we just sort of like chatted and caught up, and we wanted to really focus more on writing today, which we'll still end up chatting, but we have 2 hours to write and to chat. Hopefully I can at least get an hour of writing in. That would just be amazing. I'm not usually more of a morning-ish writer, so we'll see how the words flow. I've noticed with myself, the more consistent that I've been writing and taking my writing a little more seriously, I've noticed that I like to write in the afternoons or at night, mainly because I'm more awake and I've done everything else for the day, so I'm not thinking about other things, if that makes sense. I don't remember the last time I've written before 10 a.m. We'll see how today goes in comparison to some of the other days. And according to the NaNoWriMo website, I'm a night owl writer. Most of my writing is done between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m., which I don't know if that's entirely true. According to their website, I am a nighttime writer, which that I would agree with. So we'll see how today goes. I'll check in with you guys and wish me all the luck. It's hours later on the same day. So I did my writing session with Bree this morning. We did one 45-minute sprint, and then I ended up just popping off early. So during that one 45-minute sprint with Bree, I ended up working on chapter 6. So I had a little bit left of chapter 6 I wanted to write. I thought I had finished chapter 6, and then when I went back and I reread a little bit of what ended, something I forgot to include in the end of chapter 6, I went ahead and just wrote that stuff in there. And then I also left myself a note in the margin just being like, don't know if this is exactly how it's going to go down, but this is fine for now. I get what I'm trying to say. And then I ended up working on chapter 7. I'm pretty well into chapter 7. According to my little plot grid that I have, chapter 7 is the last chapter in Act 1 before I get to Act 2. This one has quite a few things that I have to line up for Act 2, and a few little things that I want to tie up from Act 1 to get to Act 2. There are minimum of two characters that haven't been introduced yet. I'm a little nervous if I should have introduced them with the rest of all of the people that we were introduced to in Act 1, but I just felt like it was a lot of people all at once to be introduced to, and I think it will add a good layer of these characters coming in either in chapter 8 or chapter 9, but coming in Act 2 during the more fun and game section. So I'm not too worried about it. I'll just have to see how I weave those characters into it, because I introduced a lot of characters in the last chapter. I was afraid it was coming out to be info dumpy, which obviously I didn't want it to just be like, here are all the characters, memorize them. We're still working on that. That might have to be reworked later on. So far, it's going well. During that writing session with Bree, I ended up writing 1,038 words. That brings me a total for working on Camp Nano. My total word count so far is 8,849 words. If we do a little bit of math here, I need to write another 1,151 words. That's doable. That's another hour, and it's only 9:30. I want to do that, and there is a 30-hour write-a-thon that's going on right now. So I'm gonna have that going on in the background as I try to hit my local for Camp Nano. And I'm pretty excited about it. I know in the NaNoWriMo website, I made the horrible mistake of doing my high goal instead of my low goal. Don't ask me why I put my high goal in there. And I don't want to change it because I feel like that'll make it look like I'm cheating. You know, if I move it from 15,000 words to 10,000 words and then I hit the 10,000 words. According to the NaNoWriMo website, it'll look like I didn't hit my goal, but I promise I had a low goal of 10,000 words and a high goal of 15. My dumbass just inserted 15,000 words. For the entire manuscript so far, I have 15,155 words. I'm thinking this draft will be kind of around 60-ish thousand words. That's where I'm at. That's progress. So this writing session was a little slow. It took me a little while, I feel like, to get into the writing session, to get into the flow, and I still don't feel like I found the exact flow I was looking for. I feel like I've been sitting here for a couple of hours, but really I've probably only done about 40 minutes of writing total. I did finish this chapter, which is chapter 7, which means I am officially finished with Act 1. I'm very happy with how this chapter ended. I'm also pretty proud of this chapter. There was a flashback that I wanted to include in this chapter as well, but I couldn't exactly pinpoint what I wanted that scene to be, that flashback to be. I knew what I wanted to happen. It was a flashback between my main character and her twin brother, and I wanted it to be something that happened obviously in their childhood that plays a part in what she was thinking about right then and there, but it's also a scene that is going to resurface. I'm gonna keep referring back to whatever that scene was and keep expanding on that as the story progresses, but I haven't quite figured out what I want that scene to be, or like that flashback, that entire flashback. I'm not quite sure what I want, and I really didn't want to spend time sitting down and trying to think about that scene, think about what part I wanted to insert in chapter 7. So I just left myself some notes about what I wanted in that scene, in that flashback, a couple of bullet points as to like the emotions that I wanted to surface and what I wanted that scene to bring to the table. And then I moved on with the chapter. This chapter is 2,030 words for chapter 7, and I am finished with it. So we're done with chapter 1, done with this chapter, this act, and we are going to be moving into Act 2, which I'm very excited about. And now for the moment of truth, I need to add my word count into the NaNoWriMo website to see if I ended up hitting my low goal, which honestly, I feel like I did hit my low goal. I just have to remember where I was at. That's gonna be a problem. I don't remember where I was at. Hang on. So I definitely went into panic mode because I could not remember for the life of me where I had left off. Okay, I figured it out. So I did 1,164 words. Okay. So in total, that gives me 10,013 words for the entire month. That is me reaching my low goal of 10,000 words, just barely by 13 words, but hey, 13 words is 13 words. And I'm honestly super proud of myself. That's honestly as much as I'm going to be able to write for NaNoWriMo. It's the 29th, and there's still tomorrow, which is the 30th, which is also in like 30 minutes is when it's gonna be the 30th, but I'm done. I work tomorrow, not writing on that day, but I am so freaking happy. I did it. I ended up writing and hitting the goal that I had for NaNoWriMo, or Camp NaNoWriMo, and I'm really pleased. I'm really happy with myself considering I started this on the 12th. I can't remember if I ended up hitting my hourly goal for the month. I'll have to go back and check, and I want to do a recap video of Camp Nano, so that'll go up soon. I'm really proud of myself. I mean, according to the NaNoWriMo website, I did not hit my goal because I set it to 15,000 words. That was just Autumn being ambitious and ridiculous. And on that note, I'm gonna sign off for the night. Thank you guys so much for following me on this journey and watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you've been enjoying the journey with me. I'm Autumn Ashley, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.